The technician, I could tell, thought she was doing a good job on setting expectations and saying, I'm going to be running a few tests. The doctor's going to see you next, right? But what happened was she left huge blanks in this unknown territory for the patient. And so while she was busy performing these tests, I could read the body language of the patient that was getting more and more anxious and tense with each passing moment, because there were so many things happening that she didn't understand what was happening. And there was all this unknown. So by the time the doctor entered the room to have these big conversations, the patient's anxiety had heightened. They were more nervous and less able to relax and focus on now this really critical consultation moment, because this little part of the journey hadn't cleared away a lot of those unknowns.
Welcome to Success Confidentials.
9 minutes every week that'll level up your practice. If you're a healthcare visionary obsessed with patient experience, team culture, marketing, and growth, you're in the right place.
We are too. We're Lauren
and Christine,
the Patient Whisperers. We worked together for 4 years as leaders in a real premium practice.
We did not play in the traditional healthcare sandbox and believe human emotions drive all success, and it really, really worked. We grew our cash pay practice an average 60% year over year.
And on social media, we grew our followers from 1,000 to 14,000 in just 2 years, generating millions in annual revenue from social media alone.
So now we're out here sharing what made us wildly successful so you can be too.
Let's have some fun.
Let's dive in. Fear of the unknown is what stops our patients from inquiring, picking up the phone and calling, filling out a form, and even coming into our practice. But it also can keep them from absorbing or understanding important information when they are in the chair in our practice.
Really understanding the fear of the unknown and the role it plays in our healthcare practices will really help you also reach the consumer online, speak to them, and ultimately increase the number of patients in our doors and their conversion rates from online and social media.
Also, by addressing this fear of the unknown, it will also elevate that patient experience throughout our patient journey. You know, we love our stats.
Always.
So research conducted at Yale on the effects of uncertainty is really fascinating.
It's a good one. Participants in this experiment were hooked up to electrodes.
And there was the possibility that they were going to be delivered a harmless but potentially slightly painful electric shock during this experiment.
And the results were shocking. It showed that people have more stress with a 50% chance that they could or could not be shocked than people knowing that there was a 100% chance that they would be shocked.
That was nuts.
I know.
In healthcare, we tend to think really rationally. So a 50% chance of shock should result in 50% less anxiety. But humans don't operate out of rationale like we talk about all the time. We operate based on emotions. So especially in healthcare, if we leave this door open to the fear of the unknown, it produces insane anxiety or paralysis or the inability to absorb and focus for our patients. I know we've recently been on a few site visits where we're working with staff and training. It's one of our favorite things to work in the lanes, in clinic with patients and staff members. We just love people. And I think of a moment recently when I was working with a technician and I was observing, and she was a young, bright, great technician. And she was assisting a patient with performing a bunch of eye tests before the doctor saw her. And this patient was there for a premium refractive consultation. And the technician, I could tell, thought she was doing a good job on setting expectations and saying, I'm going to be running a few tests. The doctor's going to see you next, right? But what happened was she left huge blanks in this unknown territory for the patient. And so while she was busy performing these tests, I could read the body language of the patient that was getting more and more anxious and tense with each passing moment, because there were so many things happening that she didn't understand what was happening. And there was all this unknown. So by the time the doctor entered the room to have these big conversations, the patient's anxiety had heightened. They were more nervous and less able to relax and focus on now this really critical consultation moment because this little part of the journey hadn't cleared away a lot of those unknowns. Every moment is an opportunity to help educate a patient on all these unknowns that they have, we forget about. They don't know what's happening. They don't know what we know.
Yeah, because we live this every day. We even talk about this on the on-site visit. We talk about it in virtual training too, is we live this every single day. We know why we're doing this. If it's a test, we know what's going to happen next. If it's, of course, in a lane or even online, we know what happens, but we need to take our hat off. That's for an admin or being a marketer or a doctor, an owner, and step back and realize this may be the patient's first time and maybe only time, depending what your procedures are and your services are, to ever go through this process. So we need to explain it that way and really read the room as well.
Oh my gosh, yes, read the room. And this, like you said, you touched on this happens online too. We're out here in our ads and our website saying schedule now. We're asking you to take this big step without clearing away a lot of simple unknowns that are causing you to hesitate as a potential patient. And it's all buried in these paragraphs of text on a website that we think we have all that information out there. It's not being positioned in a way that's easy to digest, which means the patient still has a lot of elements of unknown before they even enter our practice.
As always, we want to leave you guys with actionable takeaways to take back to your practice and make a difference. So take a moment, look at your ads, your social media, your website, your call to actions, your form fields, and even look at your patient encounters and assess, are you truly a guide addressing all of the unknowns for your patients and even potential patients?
If we are not guides from online to in practice, this is a huge opportunity to completely change the game, change your patient's experience, and ultimately really elevate your conversions as well. If we can help you with anything related to today's topic, use the link to schedule a free 30-minute synergy session just for new practices.
For our existing practice clients, you already know where to find us.
Now we want to hear from you. What resonated? What other topics are hot for you right now? We want to know all about it in the comments.
We're just a comment away, so if you have any questions, we personally respond to all comments and DMs. If you're not subscribed yet, make it easy on yourself to see new episodes and reference topics that are helpful by hitting the subscribe button.